Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode number 2. Today we have with us Farhan Khalid. Farhan is a Chicago native with a big sweet tooth and a winning smile, and a sometimes corny sense of humor. His interests include cars, food, wildlife, and photography. His writing includes Open the Door to a Wealthier Life, Ultimate Beast, Ultimate Battle, Bilal and the Big Bully, A Tale of Two Cookies, and Cars Go Room. Good morning, Farhan. Welcome to my podcast, The Ebb and Flow of Life. When did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Thanks for having me on your podcast. I first realized I wanted to be a writer when I was pretty young. I would say by high school I realized that because I'm shy and because I'm introverted, writing is my preferred way to communicate. It gives me a chance to think about what I want to say, and even after I write it down, I can revise it if I need to before putting it out there. So it's definitely my preferred method of communication.
How long does it take you to write a book?
It depends on what I'm writing, but it actually doesn't take as long as one might suspect. My first book was a nonfiction book for adults, about 180 pages, and that took a good 3 months to write. Now for a children's book, which is obviously a lot shorter, I could have a draft done in about a week. That doesn't mean it's the finished product, but it's still something to work with. And I don't mean any of this in a boastful way, but I hope it inspires others that if you want to write a book and you feel like, oh, it's something I could never do, actually I think you can do it. It's just a matter of having the motivation and the desire, and then sitting down and just writing.
What is your work schedule like, Farhan, when you are writing?
Since I work a full-time job in corporate America and writing is not a full-time gig for me, yet at least, it's just something I do on the side. That when I am writing, it's usually in the evenings or on the weekends. And it doesn't even feel like I'm working, because if I have a project in mind and I'm really excited and motivated about it, it's just having fun.
How do books get published?
I actually decided to go the self-publishing route, and I do this through Amazon's Kindle publishing. The reason I wanted to do self-publishing is because I can work on my own schedule and I have complete creative freedom over the project, so it's exactly what I want it to be. If you go through a publisher, there's a lengthy process of actually sending out your manuscript and trying to get a publisher to buy into the project and take it on. But then on top of that, they will edit your work and try to fine-tune it to what they think is marketable, and that might not align with your original vision. There are pros and cons to each side. With the publisher, you do get their marketing prowess, and that's really the biggest challenge of self-publishing, is trying to market your product. But I think the benefits outweigh the costs, because then I do get to actually put out what I want to put out.
Where do you get your information or ideas for your books?
The ideas for my books come from what I'm interested in or what I'm well informed about. And I think that's important, because otherwise, if you just write on something that you think is a popular topic, you're not necessarily writing on something you have expertise in, and you most likely don't have a passion for it, so you're not writing from your heart.
When did you write your first book, and how old were you?
The first book I wrote was a nonfiction book for adults about money management and investing in a halal way. I was in my mid-30s and I was going to grad school and I was working full-time, so kind of a crazy time in life, but I just had this motivation and spark to write it, so I just went with the energy and got it done.
Farhan, what do you like to do when you are not writing?
When I'm not writing, I'm usually just working. But aside from that, I'm busy with family things and having a toddler at home that keeps us pretty busy. So spending time with him, reading to him, of course. And for fun, I like to do things like reading on my own, playing video games, reading car news. I used to do photography. I don't really have much time for that anymore. but I also do like to eat out and just try different cuisines and different restaurants.
What does your family think of your writing?
I think my family is proud and they are supportive of my writing. And I think one of the coolest things is that my son, I read the books to him that I wrote, and he understands that I wrote them. And I guess as he gets older, that's something he could kind of brag about to his friends.
Tell me, what was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books?
And a surprising thing I learned after creating my books and putting them out on the market is that I got sales in countries I wouldn't have expected. Countries like US, Canada, UK, that was pretty expected. But I even got sales in countries like India and Japan, which did surprise me.
How many books have you written? And Farhan, tell me, which is your favorite?
I've written 6 books so far. The first one was a nonfiction book for adults. The second one was a nonfiction book for more young adult readers about tiger conservation. And then I wrote 4 children's books. Which one is my favorite? That's a tough question because it's kind of like asking which of your kids is your favorite. But it's kind of like the most recent book I wrote. It's usually my favorite because that's the one that was my latest passion or latest idea. But I am proud of all of my work.
Do you have any suggestions to help others become better writers?
I would say the most important thing is just to start writing. You have ideas and you have expertise, so get those down on the paper or on the screen. If there's something that you're struggling with, such as grammar or punctuation, if it's not a strong suit, that's okay. There are people you can hire to be a proofreader. And for general writing, get feedback from people that you trust and you value their opinion.
Farhan, have you ever heard from your readers much? What kind of things do they say?
I don't often hear from my readers, but occasionally I'll hear locally where somebody will say that their child really likes the book, which really makes my day. Aside from that, since I do have a website and a blog, sometimes readers will reach out to me with a question, and that's usually surrounding my first book on money management and investing. So that does feel kind of nice because they actually see me as an expert and someone that's worth reaching out to with their question.
What do you think makes a good story?
Some people will say that what makes a good story is something like the plot line or character development. But for me, my view is a little different. I think the story is really just about entertaining the reader and making something enjoyable for them and relatable.
And that brings us to an end to this podcast. Farhan, you have given up your valuable time to be on my podcast. And I want to let you know that I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm very impressed by your skills and your accomplishments. And I wish you all success in the future. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on as a guest. It was a lot of fun.
Taking the time to read with your children on a regular basis sends a very important message. Reading is worthwhile.